Hi, I'm Casey Seiler, editor of the Albany Times-Union, and I am here to talk about this year's very unique Best of the Capital Region section. I am happy to be joined by Gary Hahn, our managing editor for sports, features, and special publications, and Sarah Tracy, our features editor, who, in addition to her regular weekly duties, handles our outstanding magazine output. Thanks very much for coming in. I know this has been a ton of work for you guys that has this year stretched over more than 9 months. And to give a little explanation of sort of what went awry, not so much with the Times-Union, but just with the world, I'd present the question to Gary Hahn. How did this year's Best of project get sidetracked, and what was kind of the timeline there, Gary?
Well, Best of magazine usually comes out in the spring, early to late May. And so we had everything lined up. All the votes were in, photos were taken. We were all set to start working on the actual magazine and getting the word out there. And then came the end of March. So all of a sudden, as we all know, the world ground to a halt. And we were faced with the prospect of putting out the magazines with everything closed. So we put it on the back burner. As things began to loosen up over the summer and into the fall, we said, okay, we don't want to have this year go by without a Best of. It's already been a crazy year. So let's put the magazine together for the fall and give the people their votes.
Usually Best of is something that businesses really look forward to because, of course, it is, of course, a celebration of sort of what readers have determined to be the best in the region. And back in March and April, so many of these businesses were shut down. Not just restaurants, though they were still doing takeout, but of course entertainment venues. So many retailers were closed down, that kind of thing. So the thinking back then was these businesses are very badly going to need a shot in the arm when they reopen. And now, of course, so many of them, though not all of them, are open once again, right?
Right. I mean, definitely in retail and most of food, most restaurants and places where you get food. Some of them, obviously food stores in some places have never closed down. But now most retail, if not all retail, is open. Most restaurants are open. Those that didn't really suffer losses and had to close temporarily during this time. What's really still taking the hit is in the arts and entertainment. Although the galleries have slowly been reopening and you can go see visual art again. Places where you go see live music, and places where you go see movies, theater. Those places are still shuttered, and it's not. There's no way of telling how long we'll have to wait until they reopen again.
Sarah, tell us a little bit about how the overall reader response went during the voting this year that was conducted in kind of the opening months of 2020.
Well, in short, it went gangbusters, really. We've been trying the last few years. We've been working with our circulation and our marketing team here at the Times-Union to make Best of bigger, better, the best. And we really outdid ourselves this year. We had 55,000 people participating this year, which is the most that it's ever been. In total, we had more than 635,000 votes, which, Gary, I think if we're looking at that correctly, it's nearly doubled, or at least, 2/3 more than what it was last year, which is just, it's amazing. And I think people were probably thinking, it's the end of winter. They're looking forward to everything that's going to be opening up, the prospect of spring and summer and getting out there. So we really pushed Best of voting, and people came out in droves. And we love that kind of interaction with the community.
And that spread across how many categories, Sarah?
That was 100 categories. We got our big 100 categories this year. Completely intentional. It was not a fluke. We wanted to make this the biggest Best of ever.
So what were some of the biggest vote drawing categories, whether this year or sort of across the years that you've been working on Best of?
Yeah, one that comes to mind right away is the Best Farmers Market. That's one that we see a lot of, and I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but there is one particular popular farmers market in the Capital Region that gets the majority of those votes, but that's always in the 6 to 7,000 vote range when we're looking at that. Same with best hospital. I think people really feel passionately about where they get their healthcare and where their family gets their healthcare. That's always, always, always a big vote getter. Plus, you know, some of the biggest employers in the capital region are the hospitals in this area.
This is a season where election integrity is very much on everybody's mind. Of course, you know, I started at the Times Union as entertainment editor, so Best of was kind of my responsibility. I did it for 8 years. Back then, of course, the online element was not as big as the paper ballot that people would fill out for the reader survey, which back then was, you know, it was the centerpiece of the section, but it, you know, the most of Best of for the first 6 years or so that I was doing it was essentially the reporters kind of contributing, you know, short little mini essays on things that they found delightful. Now, of course, it is the section is made up almost entirely by the reader response. But of course, I can remember getting those paper ballots and thinking, boy, the handwriting on these really looks very, very similar for you know, whatever category was most contentious. This is a competition that where enthusiasm, perhaps over strict ballot integrity, is prioritized. Would you say?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of years ago, we switched how we do our digital voting and digital nominations. I think that was a lot easier for people to get. You know, we're all attached to our phones. I've got mine right here. And I think that really bumped up the enthusiasm because you could just share immediately, hey, I voted on the Best of poll, vote with me. And that's not to say that we didn't do a paper ballot. I remember Gary and I trying to fit 100 categories in the unwind section back in February or January. And that was a tight squeeze, I remember, for those categories. But we really did try to make this as fair as possible. That said, throughout the entire nomination and voting process, we got a lot of feedback from folks who wanted to see different kinds of categories. You know, there was a man that I talked to, he's an electrician, he has an electrician business, and he wanted to see best electrician in there. And I said, maybe next year. We got maybe 30 or 40 new suggestions for categories through that process. And folks had notes about the nomination and voting process that was online. So it's all stuff that we'll take into account when we do Best of 2021.
What are some categories that were just added in recent years, kind of in response to some of those suggestions from readers?
Oh yeah, we've had a ton of them. We have a couple that we've retired from the Best of Graveyard that had been categories in prior years, but we had kind of put them on the back burner. We brought back the Best Family Restaurant category, the Best Radio Station category. We have the Best Dentist or Orthodontist, which is one that, you know, when you have a new category, you don't quite know how it's going to go with the voters. That one did. I mean, Gary, what would you say in terms of the voting and the nominations for that?
Went through the roof.
Okay, well, what were some of the other, this year, some of the most closely contested categories?
Yeah, I've got a couple of those right in front of me. And really, you know, when we say closely contested, it's not like, you know, they were close with 200, 300 votes. This is by, you know, single votes. So I'm looking at the Best Sandwich Shop, which is part of our, it's part of our goods and services category. And we have the number one, which had a little around 2,200 votes, but 2 and 3 were separated by 1 vote. And number 1 and number 2 was only separated by about 50 votes. So that was a pretty close one. And it's the same across several categories. Best Garden Center and Florist. In the years, we've had a little bit of a seesaw between Hewitt's and Fadigan's in 1 and 2, and I'm not going to say who won 1, who won 2, but there was less than 50 votes set, so it was really close there.
So I should say we're not going to give those away now because, of course, these will all be revealed in the special section, so artfully put together by you guys and our outstanding print team. And that will be in the paper on Thursday, September 17th. I think a lot of people are hearing this on Wednesday, the 16th. Print subscribers will get it, but if you want to get a copy of it and you're not a print subscriber, and shame on you if you're not, you should definitely try and pick it up at the newsstand on Thursday. And of course, people will be able to consume some of this stuff online, but the section itself is such a beautiful product. I can't believe that anybody wouldn't want to have it in their home. Gary, we touched upon the fact that some of the categories apply to businesses that are still shut down. You mentioned the arts as well. I mean, one very close to my heart is, best movie theater right now. I mean, we're essentially just down to drive-ins right now, right?
That's correct. And luckily we have a wealth of drive-ins in our area. But
We
then again,
do.
I mean,
It never fails to blow my mind that the capital region, if you draw probably a 25-mile, radius from downtown Albany, I think we've got more drive-in theaters than just about anywhere else in the country that I know of.
I believe that's correct. And they all do well, and especially doing well this summer, and it shows the age of the owners of the drive-ins now, because most, you can go out and see any kind of 1980s film that you want, because that falls right into the wheel well of those who are running the drive-ins right now. That's their nostalgia, and they're drawing in a lot of people, and parents are introducing them to, like, the Goonies for the first time. So
for some of the venues and theater companies that are celebrated in Best of, it's sort of a bittersweet thing to win, knowing that that you're still unable to put your product out before the public.
yes, and who knows? Maybe the governor will pick up a copy and flip through it, and that may spur him to giving a little leash to the theaters and venues of the area.
The power of journalism, really,
You guys are very glass half full people. I dig it. So now we don't want to give away everything, but we will, however, tease the product with a rundown of just a handful of some of the most high-profile categories. One of which, in addition to drive-ins, and actually perhaps related to drive-ins, that is near and dear to my heart, is hamburgers. A product that I have consumed at many a drive-in in my time. So, Gary, if you can give us a sense of how the balloting came down in the category of best hamburger.
Yes, Casey. In years past, and we've always struggled with this, as far as certain areas like pizza and fish fry, we try to level the playing field by instead of just putting the category out there, because you have chains, national chains, versus local single location places. And of course, the chains and those with multiple locations are going to bury those with the single locations. And hamburger is a perfect example. In years past, Five Guys has been a perennial winner in that category. And so we really did push and specify that we wanted hamburger to be a single location category this year. And that gave us a new winner. So the reveal, Casey, are you ready?
Go ahead. I'm all equipped.
Seasonal favorite, Jumpin' Jacks out of Scotia. They took the best hamburger this year, and well-deserved. And I'd like to put out a little teaser for a couple others that may be a little upset this year. We won't actually say it, but this is something for everyone to look forward to as they pick up their copy of Times Union tomorrow. And that's in the health food co-op category and local hotel. May not be what you're expecting.
Interesting. All right. Well, all right, Sarah, we'll hand the baton off to you. You wanted to talk about a category that you mentioned earlier, best family restaurant.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this one up because it was a pretty big vote getter. And again, it was one of those categories that we brought back out of retirement. And, we never know how those are going to go. But best family restaurant, you think that's the place that you bring your kids, your grandkids, your nieces, your nephews. It's got a lot of memories for folks. And the number one, I'm going to do a little the number one for best family restaurant is Kay's Pizza in Averill Park, which, oh my goodness. I mean, Kay's Pizza already does, a pretty bang up job in some of our other categories with best of, but folks, came out of the woodwork for this one. That category in total got more than 7,000 votes.
All right. Well, I feel much better, even better about this product now, because I am a huge, I don't do endorsements, but I do love me some Kay's Pizza. It is, a good 25-minute drive from where I live in downtown Albany, but I love it. It is for my money, the best pizza in town. So, and also I'll say this, and this is kind of appropriate to the year we're having now. K's has done a very, very good job of re-engineering itself to accommodate diners during the pandemic. They've put up a tent outside. They've really done a good job in terms of making sure the tables are properly distanced. So that's I'm very glad to hear that. I'm getting this news myself right now. So and Sarah, let's switch from the realm of food at least for a moment to best radio station.
Yeah, I mean, back to entertainment. When we're talking about, entertainment kind of taking a big hit during the pandemic, I think a lot of people found some solace in radio stations. The DJs kept doing their job. They kept putting out music. I think some people were, recording out of their homes and all of that. But best radio station was another category that we brought back. And the one that won that one was B95.5. And I know, when it comes to around the holidays, I always have B95.5 on my car radio because I can't get enough of all of the holiday songs. I'm a Melodies of Christmas alum, so that's my jam.
It makes you wonder if, since the voting was after the holidays, it immediately started right after the holidays, if perhaps B95 sort of got a little boost from that. But then, of course, you could see it going the other way, where people are completely sick of holiday music and they don't
want anything to do with it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, great stuff. And Sarah, you talk about people doing their work from home. I would point out that despite the fact that I, for some bizarre reason, am back in the newsroom, and you are today as well, and it's wonderful to see you in person, journalists, including everybody on this call, have been doing their jobs from home for the duration as well. And being able to put together a product of this complexity with this level of quality just blows me away. I think that every day, but a product like Best Of really brings everybody's skills to the fore. So thank you all very much for the good work. I know that readers are going to enjoy it. It will make them, by turns, grateful and furious that their picks might not have come out on top. But I look forward to it every year. So I guess the question now is, next year, will we be back hopefully to a spring presentation for Best Of, Gary?
Yes, we are planning on hitting the first of the year, all geared up to have a year that, again, hopefully is not like 2020.
I mean, can you imagine any coronavirus-inspired categories?
I'll have to think about that one.
Exactly. All right. Well, thanks very much. And as a reminder, Best of the Capital Region 2020, late but still appreciated, will be on newsstands and in the paper of Thursday, September 17th. So thanks very much to Gary Hahn and Sarah Tracy. And thanks very much to all of the Times Union's readers, especially our subscribers, who help support all of our good journalism. Thanks.
Thank you, Casey.
Thank you.